These are going to be our instructional notes for 4.6. I promise we're going to be super fast. So ready? Here we go. This section on our 4.6 is going to be focusing on invasive species. And actually the animals depicted to the right are all considered to be invasive species. So what is an invasive species? It is something, a species specifically, that's not indigenous or native to a particular area. The problem with an invasive species is that it can be very disruptive and damaging to the ecosystem that they're introduced to. So if they're not native to that area, then they will either absorb resources that other organisms that are native to that area. So it will disrupt the ecosystem. They can compete with them for survival. And they're also, aside from the competition part, there may not be any natural predators in that area. So we know if there's no predators, then that can enable the population to get out of hand. Now, they can actually be introduced to a region naturally. They can be carried by wind, water, or different climate changes. That's a natural way that an invasive species can be introduced to an area. More likely than not, though, they're introduced by humans, by boat traffic, and that's these zebra mussels over here. This is what these are. The zebra mussels were not native to the Great Lakes region, and they were attached to vessels that came and ported and docked there. And that is actually what brought the zebra mussels, which are extremely invasive and actually really problematic in that region. They can also be introduced by, hunting, the domestic pets, or decoration. So the lionfish, which is up here, is kind of a good example of that. Was a fish that people got to put in their fish tanks, and then it either grew too big for their tank or they didn't like how aggressive it was. So then they put it out into their ecosystem where they don't naturally live. Or like domestic pets, like things like these boa constrictors down here. When people get them, they think they're going to have this really cool snake, and it's small when you first get it, but then it becomes very big, and people don't know what to do with it. So they just let it out into the wild, unfortunately. Or even just for like a sense of decoration, which would be kind of something more going along the lines of that fish tank. The best way to prevent invasive species from entering into a region is to try and prevent it, right? So the best thing that we can do is, clean boats before they're entering into a new ecosystem so that we don't introduce any new organisms that maybe aren't native to that area, and don't release domestic pets, obviously. So this is going to be the end of our notes for 4.6. I'm going to put a supplemental video up that you can watch to help kind of reinforce some of these things and maybe learn more about this bunny species specifically too. So thanks for listening.